Have you ever felt like you're just crying out for help and all you get back is silence? It's such a human feeling, right? And you know what? It's right there at the very heart of Psalm 10 in the Bible. So today, let's dive into this really powerful message of hope, especially for anyone who has ever felt overlooked. Okay, so we're actually going to do something a little different. We're going to start at the end with the conclusion of the psalm from verse 17. Why? Because this is the core promise. It's the ultimate takeaway. God hears, he strengthens, and he listens intently. Think of it like this. This is our destination, but man, the journey to get here is what makes this promise so incredibly powerful. Because, let's be honest, it doesn't always feel that way, does it? Not even close. And that right there is the central tension of the whole psalm. It gets right into that painful gap between the promise that God is present and the raw feeling that he's just absent, especially in our absolute hardest moments. All right, so let's start where the psalmist David starts. And he starts with a raw, honest, and a painful question that he just lobs right at God, looking around at a world that seems totally overrun by injustice. So here it is, verse 1. And this question, wow, it just gives voice to a feeling so many of us have had. And it's so important to get this. This is not a sign of weak faith. Not at all. It's an honest cry from a heart that's in real pain. David's looking at the world, at everything going on, and he's basically just shouting, God, where are you in all this mess? And this is the backdrop, right? This is the context for his cry. He's seeing the arrogant and the wicked, and they're succeeding. They're harming vulnerable people, and they're doing it all while thinking, God doesn't notice, or maybe he just doesn't care. And from where we stand, from a human perspective, it absolutely looks like they're getting away with it.
Okay, but then we get to this. This is the crucial turning point in the entire psalm. It's where David just shifts his focus. He goes from looking at the problem he sees right in front of him to focusing on the God he knows. It's a pivot from our limited, kind of blurry human perspective to the big, clear, divine one.
But God sees. Just let that sink in. Those 3 words, they change everything. It doesn't matter how it feels. It doesn't matter what the wicked believe. The foundational bedrock truth is that God is not blind to suffering or injustice. He sees. So you've got these 2 totally opposite views clashing here. On one side, you have the arrogant thinking of the wicked who are convinced, oh, God has forgotten. He's looking the other way. He'll never see it. But then on the other side, you have David's powerful declaration of faith. He says, no, you, God, you see all the trouble and the grief. And here's the kicker. He doesn't just see it like a passive bystander. He considers it, meaning he's taking it all in, getting ready to take it into his own hands. And that's the key right there. God's awareness is anything but passive. His seeing and his hearing, well, they lead to a divine response. This is the moment where hope starts to crack through the despair. You could say God's observation is just the prelude to his action. I absolutely love this next part. When the psalm says God will incline his ear, it's painting such a beautiful picture. Think about it. This is not just passive hearing, like something's on in the background. No, this is a posture of intense, focused, compassionate listening. It's the image of someone leaning in really close because they don't want to miss a single word and they are fully intending to help. And that kind of listening, it leads directly to action. It's a multi-part response. First, he hears the desire of the afflicted, even the ones they can't put into words. Then, he strengthens their hearts. He gives them the internal courage they need to endure. He also defends the fatherless and the oppressed, acting on behalf of the most vulnerable. And finally, he reminds us that injustice will not last. He is king, and his justice will always have the final say. Okay, so this is all great theology, right? But what about real life? How do we get from that painful question back in verse 1 all the way to this confident trust at the end? How do we live this out when we're the ones in trouble? Well, the good news is the psalm actually gives us a pathway. All right, here's the practical game plan broken down into 3 steps. Step 1, bring your honest questions. Be real with God, just like David was. Don't try to hide your confusion or your pain, just pour it all out. Step 2, ask for his strength. This can be a huge shift. Instead of just trying to be strong on your own, or even just praying, fix this now, try praying, strengthen me now. Acknowledge your weakness and ask for his power. And step 3, rest in his timing. This one's tough, but it's crucial. It means trusting that he is king forever and that his justice will prevail, even if we can't see it right this second. And just like that, we come full circle.
right back to that incredible promise we started with. But now, after walking through all the pain, the doubt, and that big perspective shift, this verse just lands with so much more weight, doesn't it? It's not just a nice little sentiment anymore. It's a hard one, battled for conclusion. God hears, He strengthens, and He leans in to listen.
So, if you remember nothing else from our time today, let it be this. In the middle of all the noise, all the pain, and especially in the silence, the ultimate truth of Psalm 10 is that you are not just speaking into a void. God hears. So, let's bring this home. Make it personal. What is that area for you? Where in your life right now do you feel unheard? Where does it feel like God is just standing far off? The beautiful invitation of this psalm is to take that honest feeling, that raw desire, and just pour it all out to the God who sees, who strengthens, and who is, right now, inclining his ear to you.